Moving on to this news alert here now for you this morning. There are now more than 7.7 million coronavirus cases all across the country. The U.S. added more than 54,000 new infections on Saturday. It is the fourth straight day with cases surpassing the 50,000 mark. And there is some new information this morning about the coronavirus. Researchers say a 25-year-old Nevada man was infected with the coronavirus not once but twice this year, making him the first confirmed case of coronavirus reinfection in the United States and the fifth case worldwide. Joining us now to talk more about this is Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. It is good to see you.
Good morning to you as well. This does throw a wrench into our understanding of how you develop resistance to COVID-19.
And so tell us what you know about this case, because for a lot of our audience watching right now, this is pretty scary stuff.
Well, it has implications, both if you've had COVID-19, but also for the vaccines that we'll touch on. So for the story briefly, gentleman is around Reno, Nevada, healthy 25-year-old gentleman. March 25th gets sick, tests positive for COVID-19, gets better, not unusual, everything's fine. Lives with his parents. One of his parents gets sick about 2 months later, gives him the virus again, gets a second illness. We know it's a different virus because we actually looked at the fingerprints of the viruses and could prove that it wasn't the same virus hanging around, but a different one from his parents. Now, why it happened, we don't know. Was it because there was a lot more virus into his body from his parent who was ill? Was it a mutation that's more virulent? But he was sicker the second time than the first time. Now, let's take a step back. It's not rare to get the common cold twice. The common cold is often caused by coronavirus. So we know that your immunity against coronavirus naturally will wane with time. We didn't think it would happen in 2 months, but it could happen certainly over the course of a year. So the implications are that the vaccine, no matter how effective it is going to probably require annual dosing, or at least some type of frequency in dosing. And also, if you've had COVID-19, you can't rest on your laurels of having survived the first time and assume you won't get it again. Although it's rare, this is only the first time we've discovered it in this continent with 5 cases worldwide, and with the realization that we miss a lot of these, because I bet you most of the time, the second time you get it, it's not very significant. You don't even notice it. It's, it does happen.
You know, what I find so interesting about this particular case, though, Dr. Oz, is it happened 6 weeks apart. So I guess the question is, we talk about these antibodies, right, that build up once you get coronavirus. Then does not everybody build up antibodies once they contract COVID?
I think most people build up antibodies, but they don't last very long, especially if your first case is pretty mild. There's no reason for your immune system to get all up in arms and protect itself against a reinfection. It's just a small little thing. So it makes a couple of antibodies. The antibodies get sleepy. They go away. Now, that happens over a 3 to 4 month period. We know with the common cold, I assumed, like a lot of doctors, it would last longer for COVID-19, but that doesn't seem to be the case. The little bit of evidence we have from the original coronavirus pandemic, the COVID, the COVID from the early 2000s, was that you had longer-term immunity, but we didn't have that much of the current technology. I bet you if we look more carefully, we'll find more and more people actually have reinfections. And
so does this change now how we should go about taking COVID-19 precautions? Because the president says that he had it, and now he feels like, obviously he tested negative and that he is, quote, cured. Should we be taking precautions if we have had coronavirus once?
Yes, and that is the CDC guidelines right now. You still have to assume that you could get infected again, albeit it's probably uncommon that you would get infected this quickly after the first infection, and the president's only 12 days out. He also had antibodies in his blood, which also give us a bit more confidence that he's probably resistant to the infection. But frankly, this evidence again reinforces how little we know. The virus is 10 months old. We don't have a long library of information about how it's going to behave in people once they've recovered.
And that's the scary part about this. And I want to talk a little bit about these trials now, because I know Johnson & Johnson announced yesterday they're pausing their vaccine trial after somebody got sick. What do you make of this? And isn't it normal that when you do a trial like this, that inevitably somebody or somebodies, with a plural, somebody's going to be sick?
You're supposed to have complications after 60,000 people get anything, and so it will be highly unlikely to have no events that make you a little concerned. Now, again, we don't know why this person got ill, and we actually don't even know if they got the actual vaccine or a placebo. But the companies are supposed to do this, supposed to pause, not hold the trial, just pause it for a second, get the data safety guys in there who are third parties, not involved with the company, to overlook the trial, make sure it's safe, and then you keep going. As you pointed out, the when this happened earlier with the British trial, they resumed within a few days. Here in this country, we're stalled. I'm not sure why. No one's been able to explain that to me. But that was a significant complication that was experienced in the British trial. This one, we don't know. We'll find out. But you want to see these pauses happen. It should give you confidence that someone's watching carefully.
Let's talk about confidence in a vaccine, because one of the things that you said earlier in the conversation is we may need more than one. It may not be just kind of a one shot and you're done. It may be like the flu, right, where you have to get it every year. How confident are you that most people will say, okay, I'm raising my hand, I'm going to get this vaccine? Or do you think that there's just kind of a skepticism out there right now, Dr. Oz, about this?
Oh, there's a deep skepticism for a bunch of reasons. It's been politicized. You have leaders of saying they don't want the vaccine or they'll get it no matter what. So that sort of pulls people apart. And then you have a scientific community insisting that they're not going to even bring a vaccine to market unless they're really confident that it's effective. But to be effective is defined as more than 50% effective. So you can feel much better about yourself that you got the vaccine, but it doesn't give you a free card to do what you want to do. And that's also going to dissuade some people from getting the vaccine. Personally, I'm getting my vaccine as soon as I find one that we all believe is safe, because I want to do everything I can to reduce the chance of getting the infection. I think most Americans will come around to my way of thinking over time.
Dr. Oz, I appreciate you as always. Thanks so much. Have a good show.
Same to you. Take care.
Thank you, Dr. Oz. 8:49 is the